Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Barbell Business. I am your host, Markus Gerszi, here with Doug Larson and the one and only Mr. Rick Dicarlo. And we are in Aliso, Viejo here at Aliso CrossFit at Rick's Box. And we're going to talk a little bit to you about what you're doing here today in your business and see if we can help some gym owners out with that.
Yeah. It's Classic Rock Friday, huh?
That's right.
Yeah.
Every
All right.
Friday.
Got the jams going.
I like that we have a theme to the Friday, especially Classic Rock Friday. That's a rocking day to be here.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that we're going to have to make that a thing.
I think we should. I got to take that back to CrossFit Memphis and Faxon back in Tennessee.
Yeah, buddy. All right, cool. So I guess let's start this thing off, man. Tell us a little bit about your story and really how you got started with the box.
Sure. Okay. So I got exposed to CrossFit for the first time back in 2006 through the Marine Corps. So I was attending a course out in Quantico, Virginia, and my instructor for the course, a guy named Brian Shantosh, he's on the level 1 training staff now. He was our instructor, and he was into CrossFit at the time. So he used that as kind of the physical training program for the course I was going through. And he put us through this workout after having us run a couple miles down to the river and back in our gear and everything. Had us do this workout of 20-minute AMRAP, 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 air squats, which we all know now is Cindy. Mm-hmm. And I think he told us at the time a good score was like 17 rounds. And, you know, we all thought we were going to crush that score. And about 7 rounds into it, we all realized it was a totally different ball game than anything we had done.
The first 3 rounds, you're like, oh, I got this. No problem. No problem.
Yeah.
This CrossFit stuff's easy.
And then from that point on, I was kind of hooked. And I used it as my own personal training physical fitness program throughout the years. And then in 2010-11 timeframe, I started getting more into CrossFit, and eventually I found out that there was actually CrossFit gyms out in town that you could actually join. Up to that point, I was only doing it on my own, on base and stuff, looking at CrossFit.com. So I joined a gym out in town. Did that for a little while and realized that I really did love it and enjoy it. I loved the coaching aspect of it. I loved the fact that these coaches that I had, which were great coaches, they were teaching me proper movement and how to do this stuff safely and effectively. And I thought, wow, this is kind of a cool thing to do and be involved in. And I was kind of at a point in my Marine Corps career where I had to decide whether I was going to stay in for the long haul on the active duty side or make the transition over to the civilian side and possibly stay in the reserves or get out completely. And I decided to get out and use CrossFit as the business that I was going to get into after I did that. So we opened here in November of 2011. So we've been open for 5 years now. And it's been a great ride. It's been awesome. I love being a box owner. I really do enjoy being around the people every day. It was very similar to the Marine Corps for me, where it's a really solid group of people. I mean, it takes a special type of person to want to do CrossFit, someone who's willing to push themselves to uncomfortable limits, work hard to achieve results. So I love being around that on a daily basis. And yeah, we've been going strong ever since 2011.
Yeah, you guys have built a hell of a box here. I mean, this is in our own neck of the woods here. So CrossFit Active Performance is only about, maybe 5 miles from here.
Yeah.
And
Which was your gym.
Yeah, it's my gym. And you have built one of the best boxes around in the area. I've always watched what you've been doing. You've done a great job. And particularly today, I wanted to talk about like how you have been able to stay growing and stay healthy in what we're in is a really competitive market. Southern California is crazy tough for a lot of box owners, and you've managed to kind of stay ahead of the curve, and just the way that you've structured your intake system is really, really unique. So tell us a little bit about what the marketplace is like here today for a box owner.
Yeah, South Orange County is a great place to be a box owner because it really does challenge you, right, to do it right. And like Marcus said, there's several boxes around here within just a few miles, and
great boxes at that.
Great boxes, yeah, really great boxes. There's not a bad one. There's not, and that does make it challenging as an affiliate owner to really do it right. And I've looked around the country, and I'm part of several different like affiliate owner groups and stuff on Facebook and social media. So I kind of hear the chatter of what's going on, and you kind of see different boxes coming up and going down. And CrossFit was on a big, huge jump for a long time where, 1 year it went from 3,000 affiliates to like 5,000 the next year, and then it was 8,000, and the growth rate was huge. And now I don't know what the exact number is at this point, but it seems like it's kind of stalled out. And I've actually seen a lot more boxes going under than that are popping up. Even here in the local area, we just had one shut down yesterday. So it does make it really challenging to be a box owner in this area. But I think it's similar to like working out in a CrossFit class, right? If you have people around you who are doing it right and strong athletes, it makes you become a stronger athlete. So I've always known since day one that if I'm going to be a box owner here in this region, we have to be doing it correctly and doing it right, making an experience that people want to come and enjoy and be part of a community. So, it's been challenging, but it's been good. It's forced me to run my box with sound business principles, but create an excellent experience as well.
Yeah. When we moved from our first location to our second location, maybe 5 or so years ago, right when we moved in, a gym that was in the same complex had just shut down. And we went over there, and we've talked about this on the show many times, but we probably got 25, 30 grand worth of equipment for like $500.
Oh, that's great.
We just cleaned it out, called the CEO, and he was just like, yeah, take it, get rid of it. Like he wanted no part of it. So have you had any opportunity with gyms shutting down to like call them up and be like, hey, do you guys have any equipment you want to sell me for like pennies on the dollar?
You know, I'm sure those opportunities have been there, and I've thought about taking them, especially, like I said, just yesterday, one of the big gyms just probably less than a mile from here closed down. And I've thought about it, but I really don't need much else right now. And that's actually one of the principles that I've kind of adhered to over the years is like be the best with what you have and just try to keep it simple. I think a lot of times people try to overcomplicate things, and it just kind of muddies the waters. So, you know, we're a very small box as far as our square footage goes. So I don't have a ton of room for things like a worm or, you know, a pig or, you know, a bunch of airdynes and everything. And we've really done well with what we have. So I haven't reached out to those opportunities as far as buying equipment for pennies on the dollar. If I did have a larger space, I would probably consider doing something like that because it's a really smart move to reach out and try to find deals like that.
Yeah, we were moving into a space that was like twice as big as our old space, so we were happy to take as much equipment as we could fit. And then, to your point, half that shit we never used. It just kind of sat there until we decided to get rid of it. But it was so cheap, we were just like, take it. We can figure it out later.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were some really nice facilities at that. Yeah. There's a lot of sweet gear.
Sure.
Right now.
It that box there, they opened up I think about just about a month or two after we first opened, or right in that time frame. And I remember that because we were a brand new business at the time. It was 2011 or very early 2012, and I was super nervous about it because I was like, oh man, like wow, we were the only one around this area, and then now like another one just opened up less than a mile from us. So that was a big concern of mine for a while. And then I realized and I'd been hearing this from business mentors, and even Greg Glassman put it out there, but like really don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Just focus on what you're doing and do it as best as you can, and you'll be successful. And it was great advice because that gym was ultimately, I think it looked like it was very successful, as well as all the other ones around here. At least seems like they're very successful. But we focused on what we were doing, not what anybody else was doing, and that's allowed us to continue to be successful throughout the years.
And I think that's one of the biggest lessons to people who are newer to business, who are in this industry, and they flip out whenever a fancy shiny box down the street opens up, and they think like, oh well, that's it, I'm screwed. Look at these guys; they must have spent $100,000 on equipment, and it's like, wait. That does not mean they're going to be successful. That does not mean that they have their shit together like you think they do. Yeah. Because oftentimes a lot of people overreach, and you don't know the backstory of what's actually going on and how they funded this or what their business plan or model looks like. And if you can, like in your case, I mean, you started with, I mean, I wouldn't consider this a small facility. I mean, what is this, like 20?
It's about 2,400 square feet.
24, 25. And so this is ample square footage to run a great program or multiple programs like I know you run. And really just build a great business. And you are super community focused. You have great relationships with everybody here in the box. I know that from your staff with Babs. And you've built something that's legit. This is something that will stand the test of time. Yeah. Where oftentimes just because you built the big shiny box, that does not necessarily mean you're going to crush it. Because now your expenses, your overhead are going to be accordingly, huge. And you're going to have to move a lot of memberships for that to make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally true. I went through the same thing. Like, you look at the big shiny objects and, the boxes that are putting out or coming in with a lot of stuff, a lot of square footage, but that doesn't always necessarily mean that on the back end that the business is being run the proper way. It's kind of like
the stuff you see is the easy stuff.
Right.
You come in, you see the location, you see the equipment. Like, that's easy because it's in your face and you see it every day. Then you open your own box and it's all the stuff that you don't see. That's the hard part. That's the stuff where people didn't even know it was there if they've never run a business before. All the back end business systems, all the leadership, all the communication, like all the structure, like all that stuff is kind of in the shadows until you actually start running a business, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, there's so much more to this than I thought there was going to be.
Yeah. I was thinking about it this morning as I was coming in, and like about business ownership and kind of thinking about what we were going to talk through here today. And I thought about it like in a simple way to compare it. It's kind of like nutrition, right? Like calories in, if you want to lose weight, calories in needs to be less than calories out. It's like in a business, if you want your business to grow, revenue in has to be more than revenue out. And I've seen a lot of boxes that have it flipped, you know, and it looks great. It looks awesome. They have a huge facility, tons of equipment, great staff. They're paying them a lot of money. Everything sounds awesome, but will it stand the test of time? And that's typically what I've seen that hasn't been the case.
So we want to have a fat business, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you do want to have
way more money calories. In than out.
More money calories.
Well, you want to have a
Is your business obese?
You want to have a fit. You want to have a fit business. You want to have a fit business because all that money that you're taking in, you also need to put out good output, right? So you're spending money on important things, and you don't want it to be too fat.
No. I want to be too fat. Fat as shit.
Perfect. Well, on that note, let's take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to dive into how Rick really has structured his multi-entry point intake system and what he's doing to help continue to build value for his community. See you in a minute.
My name is Eric. I'm the owner of CrossFit Encino. I decided to attend the first Mastermind. This is my second, on a whim, after participating in Barbell Logic for some time, and it turned out to be one of the best personal self-development experiences I've ever had. So the first Mastermind was a lot of personal development for me and really taught me that my growth is only capped by myself. And then this second Mastermind, I came away with a bunch of tactical, applicable knowledge on changes I can make to my business to allow me to continue to expand my potential. Well, a lot of what I got this time was tactical, so I have very specific action items and takeaways that I can use, and I plan to go back and turn my gym into the vision that I have for it, or continue carrying out that vision I have for my gym, and then hopefully doing something broader in the near future. If you're considering or have considered a Mastermind and are unsure if it's about price or time or being away, it's real simple. If you're concerned about being away, this is one of the best ways to force yourself to get away and get out a tremendous amount of value. If you're concerned about the money, you got to unlock your potential somehow. More money only comes when you're willing to invest in yourself, and you're going to be your biggest limiting factor, and I learned that personally, and cannot stress more how much value you'll get out, that the money will seem inconsequential.
All right, and we're back. So we're standing here with Rick Dicarlo in beautiful Orange County, California at Aliso CrossFit. And what I want to jump into now with you is your multi-entry point way of bringing new clients in. This is something I've been watching you do for a couple of years, and obviously working together with Barbell Logic, have watched really how you have structured all this. Sure. And I think it's really, really cool because a lot of gym owners rely on kind of a single entry point and it just being like, hey, we offer a free intro session and we hope people show up to it. But that doesn't always work throughout the year, and I've watched you throughout the different seasons of the years. You have various different programs that you offer to bring people in, which always has brought a steady flow for you in. So I want to dig into that a little bit. So if you wouldn't mind, describe your overall intake systems that you have for people to come into the gym.
Sure. Yeah. So our general intake system throughout the year, just that we kind of leave in place, is our regular foundations program. People can join that at any point. So I created, it's basically a 4-week curriculum. There are 20 workouts associated with it. They're numbered, just kind of like a CrossFit Games type model where it's numbered by week and day, and they can jump in at any point. So they don't necessarily build on each other, but if they attend all 4 weeks, they'll have been exposed to each movement as many times as feasible before they need to jump into our regular workout of the day classes. So that's our foundations program.
And I think that's really cool, because I see a lot of people who struggle with, well, I want to provide a ton of content and get people through these extensive onboarding programs, like a 4-week program, a 6-week program. But when you have a set start and a set finish, which best case scenario, sure, everyone starts together, everyone finishes together. But for the business, not so ideal, because now you have people coming in, they're super pumped to get started, and you say, next one starts in 3 weeks. Not optimal, right? So in your particular case, I know that you structured it so people can jump in at any point. That way you can have the initial sales conversation, you can get people in the door and have them get started the next day. They're up and running, and now they're just working their way through the content until they're ready to get out of it.
Sure.
Right?
Yep, exactly. And the way I built that was I basically just laid out all the movements. I put them on a matrix, and over the years I've realized that beginners tend to attend 3 days a week, and they're usually either a Monday, Wednesday, Friday type person or a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday type person. So I laid out the movements in that kind of regard, and they get exposed to them enough in the 4 or 6 weeks that they stay in foundations, and then they move into the regular classes. And that's kind of our evergreen program. Like, that's just out there all the time that people can do. The other thing, so a couple other different programs we use throughout the year to kind of tap into either what's going on during that time of year, or just to kind of change it up and keep our marketing fresh. We'll launch a 6-week intro to CrossFit from time to time. We've launched those about every couple months or so. And those are great because for the person who likes a defined start and end, that program is great for them. And a lot of people aren't ready to jump right into CrossFit right now. They may have some kind of injury or something going on or something in their life, but they see, the ad come across through Facebook, or they see it on our social media, or they hear about it. They'll get on there and sign up, knowing that they're not going to start for 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whenever the next one starts up. And it kind of gives them a good mental period to get ready. Like, okay, I'm going to start CrossFit in this amount of time.
And what works so well about that is that if people come in through your standard evergreen, they're signing up for a gym membership. That's kind of like what they know they're doing. They're committing to something longer, bigger. But when someone has, like you said, a finite beginning and end, they feel like, well, I don't have to go past the 6 weeks. Gives you the opportunity to start engaging with them, start showing value, showing that what we do is, maybe not as intimidating as they thought, getting great results and so on. So people who think I'll be out of here at the end of the 6 weeks, oftentimes you can convert them into long-standing members then, right? Yeah,
the retention rate on those 6-week programs is huge. It's about 85% for us.
That's great.
So
that's really good.
Knowing that stat is helpful because, one, you know how much to spend on advertising for the program because you know what your historical retention rate is. But they're huge. We really try to assign 1 or 2 coaches that are going to be working with them primarily for the 6 weeks. We do the body fat measurements, we do the initial baseline and the final baseline workouts. We engage them with email content throughout the entire 6 weeks, which is we now run through our Barbell Logic system. So the 6-week intro to CrossFit has been a really, really great program for us, for sure.
Very cool.
So how often do you run that?
We'll usually run it every 2 to 3 months. We'll start one. Yeah.
So it's kind of like 6 weeks on, 6 weeks off?
Yeah. It gives us enough time to market the next one, kind of ramp up the coaches. If we want to make any changes to the curriculum or anything like that, it gives us time to prep. Yeah.
Nice.
And then you have another program as well?
We do. We have a SheFit program, and that's our all-women's program. That's kind of a mixed level type program, but it is beginner friendly. So we kind of dial those classes back to where it's less barbell work, more body weight type stuff. We offer it at 9:30 on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. So it's perfect for moms. We offer babysitting along with it. So it kind of brings in that other demographic who probably wouldn't have come in for a CrossFit class, but something called SheFit, branded for women, with the programming specific for usually what women are looking for, has worked really well for us. I have my 3 female coaches pretty much run the program. They write the workouts for it, and they just come up with lots of fun, interesting workouts that are really engaging, and it's a great program. So it's brought in several beginner women for us.
So do you just alternate that with the other program you just mentioned?
No, SheFit's also an evergreen program, so it stays on our schedule all year long, and they can jump in whenever they want. Yeah.
So is that on a 4-week recurring cycle, just like? Or is that just a class that's called SheFit, and people can just show up for that one class?
Yeah, correct. It's a class called SheFit. Like I said, the programming for that is very much more at a basic level than what you would find in a regular WOD class. So we call them beginner-friendly classes. It's fine for somebody to jump in on day one. The coach can get them spun up on whatever they're doing that day, whether it's an air squat or a push-up or a sit-up or whatever they're doing. So we keep it basic enough so that beginners can jump in at any time.
And so for that class, do they pay a gym membership, or is it a separate monthly amount to just show up to that one type of class?
No,
how does that work?
Everything's included. So we recently switched, probably about 6 months ago. We're only doing unlimited memberships now, and that was something I actually talked to Mike Bledsoe on the phone about 2 or 3 months ago, and he told me, he's like, hey, we got rid of the tier memberships because if someone comes 3 days a week, they're going to get 3-day-a-week results, right? So you want to encourage your members from the beginning to come in as often as they can. So what we do is we sell an unlimited membership, and that gives them access to any of our classes that they want to come to. So the women, they can attend the SheFit classes in addition to our foundations classes, as well as our powerlifting, our weightlifting, our WOD classes, our friends and family, our open gym times.
Right.
Those are all included in the memberships.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's something that that I talked with gym owners almost every day as we do the different system design calls with the Barbell Logic gyms that come in, where we talk about their pricing structure, their membership structure, and the 2-day-a-week, 3-day-a-week. Although I understand, hey, it's because I want to be able to offer that lower price point. It's appropriate for some. When you offer it to people who are, the majority of people who come in are new. They're not that great with commitment. They're not. If you give them the opportunity to not get the results that they think they're going to get, because they're still doing CrossFit workouts, so they're still going to train harder than they ever have before, so they're going to feel like they're putting in the work. They're coming in 2-3 days a week, which may be more than what they've ever done elsewhere as well.
Yep.
But now they're going to be paying 4, 5, 6 times what they've ever paid for gym membership and still not get those crazy results that they would expect from the kind of work they're putting in. And now you're going to have someone who said they went to your gym for 6 months, paid almost $200 for membership, and I didn't get the results I wanted.
Yeah.
Bad for business.
Yeah.
So I'm very rarely on the side of let's keep those memberships, and at very least you can keep them in your back pocket and offer it to someone as kind of like a backup.
And we do. Yeah, I've got them.
Right.
They're on the back end of our management
exactly.
software. And if someone's like, hey, I really can't do this, is there anything you can do? From time to time, I'll throw that out there. But as far as what we put on the front end of our site and what we draw people into, we encourage them to go for the unlimited membership because, like you said, the more often they attend, the better results they're going to get.
I wanted to ask you something about the 6-week programs, the one-on-one programs that you run.
Yeah.
How are you converting people from that program into your regular program?
Yeah. So really during that 6 weeks, the most important thing is that you're showing people the value that you offer through your program. And that's through individual engagement. And for a while, I was doing a lot of one-on-one sit-downs with the members. And they were going okay, but what I did realize is that it almost became more of a burden for the members to have to sit down with a coach. We had it 3 times during their first 6 weeks, and people had a hard time coming to the gym just to sit down for a session off the floor, that many times. So once we had the Barbell Logic thing up and going, I realized that all these things I was sitting down and talking to them about during these one-on-one consultations was easily captured in an email, whether it be text or video. I could easily video myself and have the conversation with them via electronic means. So I put it all into email format. I sent it over to your team, and they sequenced it out throughout those first 6 weeks. And now they get all that stuff delivered to them in email content. So all my nutrition articles that I want them to read, all the tips on the movements, stuff about body fat composition, articles about CrossFit, kind of educating them on the culture. That all goes out via email. And I've noticed that, because you can see who reads the emails, I noticed they get opened, and people come back and ask me questions about them, and they tell me about, like, hey, we just cooked the recipe that you sent me, last week. And I love that, because they're engaging with the things that I want them to engage in. They're realizing the value of the program during those 6 weeks. And I think that's a big part to what contributes to that really high retention rate that we have with it.
So not only do you have a great retention rate with the program, but now you're saving yourself how many hours per 6-week batch?
Yeah, and
a ton.
Time is huge. As a business owner, especially as a box owner, to do it right, it requires a lot of time. There's a lot of stuff that goes on the back end, as all box owners know. That if you can save yourself an hour here or there that you can dedicate to something else that's going to do bigger things for the box. Super valuable. Yeah.
You're saving yourself a lot of time, and at the same time, you're building up a ton of trust and credibility for someone that doesn't really know you very well. At the end of 6 weeks, they're going to know you way better than if you only interacted with each individual person, which you would never be able to do that in the same way. And at the end of 6 weeks, they feel like they know you, even if you only talk to them once or twice, or a few times, depending on if you're coaching the classes or not.
It's definitely made it scalable for sure. Like if we get in the beginning of the new year, if we get 20, 30 new members during that first month or two, the coaches and myself aren't pulling our hair out trying to sit down with every single person one-on-one 3 times during the first 6 weeks of the year. We can definitely scale that very easily with the email program.
Yeah, and you've got it really nicely laid out. I was checking out your system before we came in, and just the different landing pages you have set up for everything now. All the different funnels are kind of like teed up and ready to go, so you can literally just create a new ad, update the imagery, the copy a little bit, run an ad. You've got everything already teed up and ready to go.
Yeah, the great thing about CrossFit is from day one, it's always been CrossFit.com, and then it's translated into what the affiliates do, but it's an open source thing, and you can access it, and everything that you need to run your business effectively is out there through resources like whether it be Barbell Business or other podcasts, Facebook groups. All the material is out there. You just have to go out and find it and utilize it, and then incorporate it into some type of system that fits with your business model. And that's what I do. I look to see what kind of things are out there, what other gyms are doing, and then incorporate it into a system that will work for us and put it into play.
Beautiful.
And you didn't have any business background before this. You were in the military, but you didn't have any parents were entrepreneurs and they taught you business or anything like that.
Well, yeah, actually, my dad did own his own business.
Okay.
And I was an economics major in college, so I did have that exposure. But before getting into this business, I had graduated college back in 2005. And then I became an infantry officer in the Marine Corps. So I always say, basically what they taught us was how to shoot stuff and blow stuff up, not any kind of business background. So my only business exposure was from my college experience.
Yeah. So what do you attribute your success to in the first years when you didn't have any experience? Like, it was just trial by fire. Like, how'd you stay alive?
Yeah, I think education. So just kind of, and education, not necessarily from school, but, and I think you guys put out a podcast about this, but educating yourself through reading material that's current, So I read about what other box owners are doing. I read some books about basic business principles. And then surprisingly enough, Greg Glassman puts out a lot of good information. I love watching his videos and listening to him talk. He's built a very successful business with CrossFit, obviously. Yeah, And the guy is very smart. And his whole thing about chasing excellence as opposed to chasing the dollar sign, it holds true. And that's really how I've always approached it since day one, is chase excellence, and the money will be a byproduct of what happens. It's kind of like in how we do in the workouts, where when you come into CrossFit, you don't say I want to get bigger legs or a more defined chest. We talk about, we're going to teach you how to do functional movement. We're going to teach you how to do the basics in proper technique, and move properly. And then all the other stuff that comes along with it, including the nutrition, is going to get you those aesthetic results that you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, people say all the time, if you focus on performing better, then you'll look better. And it's the same in business. If you focus on performing better, which means providing more value, being excellent or providing excellence, then the money will follow. If you are following good business practices and you're providing a high level of service, then kind of the financial success of the gym, having a fat gym, is like the emergent property that comes about from doing all these other things right.
Yeah.
Fat gym is good.
Fat gym is a very good thing.
So before we close out, what would be one piece of advice you would give to other box owners trying to build a better business?
Do what makes sense for you, and don't worry about what other people are doing. Build a solid business around solid business principles. Keep it simple and be engaged. And I think if you do those things, you're going to have an amazing box. Run it with integrity and solid business principles. People will love what you're doing. Create an excellent experience, and you'll be successful.
Beautiful.
And implement Classic Rock Fridays.
That's right. Classic Rock
That
Fridays.
was
now that I said that, I'm listening to the music and it's not Classic Rock at all. What happened?
She changed the station.
It's fired. Oh, fired. Very good. Well, hey, Rick, thanks so much for having us, man.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure to
Thank
see
you. Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next week.